Violent hate crimes in U.S. reach highest levels in 16 years, FBI reports.
Nice.
Data from more than 16,000 U.S. law enforcement agencies shows surge in attacks against Latinos and transgender people. Violent hate crimes and threats have reached their highest levels in the U.S. in 16 years, with a surge in attacks against Latinos and transgender people in 2018, according to a new FBI study. The data comes from more than 16,000 law enforcement agencies. Overall, the agencies reported a slight decrease in total hate crime reports, which include crimes against property, from 7,175 incidents in 2017 to 7,120 last year.
I think the problem when you talk about this is people extrapolate, that means it's happening more. That doesn't necessarily mean it's happening more. That means that it's being reported more. And I think in the culture we live in, that's probably what the case is. Because I have a hard time imagining there's way more hate crimes now than there was a few years ago. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not, but this isn't conclusive proof of that.
The number of hate crimes against people increased from 4,090 to 4,571.
But how many people simply would not report that?
Roughly 12%.
And you might say they weren't even comfortable enough to report that. Or maybe it wasn't classified that way before.
Right, maybe.
So I don't know. I'm not saying I know for certain.
Well, Levin disagrees with you, Scotty. Brian Levin from the Center of the Study of Hate and Extremism says this is really significant. So fuck you, Scotty. You don't know what you're talking about. The more we have these derisive stereotypes broadcast into the ether, the more people are going to inhale that toxin. What now, Scotty?
Well, he's just basically making an argument against free speech and just, of course, using that the duck is that...
Hate speech is not free speech, Scotty.
Is that it's hate speech.
Hate speech.
It's convincing people to do reprehensible things.
Let's be real here. A 12% jump from one year to another in one particular category, especially when overall incidents are down, like that's not statistically significant.
I don't think that any of these crimes are good. I'm not saying but I mean at the same time, this doesn't prove something.
And let's be real here, like 4,090 to 4,571, like in a country of more than how many people are in this country?
329 million people.
329 million people in a year. I mean, is that really that bad?
I
think we're doing all right.
So minorities, we should just ignore.
I'm not saying we should ignore it, but like
crimes against minorities.
Let's not act like it's
systemic racism.
Let's not act like
it's a piece of shit.
Let's just not act like it's a fucking plague. All right. I mean, like it is a problem, but it's not a gigantic problem at those numbers.
But isn't this at least somewhat evidence that those numbers are going in the wrong direction?
Maybe. I mean, it just depends on.
We
got to look at. You can't just compare 2 years. You got to look at overall trends and shit. So I don't know what the overall trend is. If
they're saying it's the highest in 16 years,
which means that it was low for a lot of that 16 years,
right?
And they said that overall hate crimes are down. It's just one category of hate crime that's up.
Which category?
Hate crimes against people. Like violent crimes, like because
right.
also includes hate crimes. Also include like someone painted a swastika or something,
Right.
So they can qualify that as a hate crime.
the most worrying
right
of the hate crimes is the one that's up, and that's not significant.
It's up 12% though. I mean it's like if there's
if you went to the doctor? What if you went to the doctor?
Hold on. Hold on. Shut up. I got a perfect analogy for you.
Okay.
So let's say today in America, there's, 7 hate crimes or something.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, there's 14.
Okay.
I could say, oh, my God, hate crime is up fucking 100% from yesterday.
Yeah, that's because
so that's why you
looking
can't compare 2 data points. You can't just say it went up 12% since last year because that doesn't prove a trend.
Well, they're clearly not just using 2 data points. They
are. They said it's up. They're comparing from 2017 to 2018.
Right, but they're also comparing it against 16 years of data as well.
Right. Well, no, they're saying it's the highest it's been in 16 years.
Right, which is comparing it against the data points from all of those years.
Right. So 16 years ago, it was as high as it is right now.
It's higher now than it was 16 years ago.
I mean, they didn't say that. They said that
the highest levels,
the highest since 16 years.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm assuming 16 years is roughly equivalent or around the same.
Well, also, this is a number reported, so we don't know. It could be significantly more than this. It could be significantly less than this.
I mean, with any crime, you got to assume that
I would assume
not all crimes are being reported. So obviously,
that's what I would have to assume as well.
I mean, I don't know what percentage are reported, but it could be A 12% jump could just mean reporting is up, too.
That's why I'm saying, like, we just don't know. I mean, but it definitely is something to be concerned about. I agree with that. It's not to say that there's nothing to this.
All right, well, I mean, like, let's break this down for a second. So if there's 4,571 hate crimes reported in, 365 days? Like, how many a day is that?
I don't know.
All right, well, I'm going to get a calculator.
For like 15 a day or something? Something like that?
All right, so hold on. Let's just figure this fucking shit out. So I got a calculator here. There it is. So, what is it? 4,571
Divided by 365.
divided by 365. So that's about 12 and a half
12 a day.
hate crimes a day in a country of 325 million people, which means that, like, that's like struck by lightning fucking numbers of being the victim of a fucking hate crime.
Okay. I mean, I think it's still significant that it goes on in the country, and you don't want the numbers to be going up.
Right. I mean, of course you don't want them going up, and I'm not saying it's not a problem, but I feel like certain thing, like, this is being used as part of a fucking narrative about this fucking country.
Which is what?
That's trying to tell people, like, hate crime is rampant. Be afraid. Every time you leave your house, you might be in danger of being attacked. And people fucking develop neuroses and fears and terrors, and it drives them to fucking not want to leave their houses and to fucking stare at their phone until their eyes explode and to have such bad fucking mental illness rates that, in a story we're going to be covering in a minute, millennials are scared to leave their fucking house. And I think that when you take, 12 and a half hate crimes a day in a country of 325 million people, 329 million, and you make it seem like it's an epidemic, you're just pumping fear into the populace, and you're crippling people emotionally and terrorizing them, all to fucking get clicks and to show them ads. You know?
I mean, I can see your perspective on it. I can also see the perspective of, the victims of this shit. Because it shouldn't, the numbers shouldn't be going up.
I mean, one victim,
however
one
statistically
victim is too
insignificant,
many. Sure.
People shouldn't be experiencing this shit in 2019.
Right. I mean, it shouldn't be happening, period.
And
there should be zero.
especially, in my mind, because it doesn't cross lines into fucking freedom of speech category, we shouldn't be seeing an uptick in violent hate crime against people. Like, we're not talking about painting a swastika on the fucking floor, whatever,
right.
Burning a cross somewhere, whatever it is. All stupid fucking shit that you shouldn't be doing, mind you. But they fall a good deal short of fucking beating somebody's ass or stabbing somebody or whatever violent, you know what I mean? That, to me, even though the amount of people experiencing in this country might be statistically insignificant in comparison to everybody, I don't want to live in a place where that's moving up. Right. And this maybe it isn't. Maybe this falls right back down again. I don't know. Maybe it's just a little blip in the radar of the broader data point. But I don't disagree that we should be concerned with a 12% increase in violent hate crime over a year.
We should be concerned about one
because if it's 12% next year and 12% next year, in 10 years we're living in a place where we're having a different conversation.
Oh, yeah. Look, if that's right, if it's a trend and every year it's going up and up and up and up, then absolutely.
But see, when you're at the beginning of a trend or a possible trend, you have to consider that, and that's where I fall on this.
No, I mean I agree.
I
with
don't
that.
necessarily think that. I think all you got to do is look at the numbers to know that, and know the number of people that are in this country to know that you're probably not going to experience this. That doesn't mean that the people that do experience it are insignificant.
My only thing about it is I just wish that the news media was a little bit more responsible with giving people a realistic fucking viewpoint of the exactly what's going on, what the fucking data is, and how it fucking stacks up against the big picture.
And this goes back to...
Because it bleeds, it leads, and all that bullshit.
Yeah, we'll go back to fucking the movie Bowling for Columbine. Talk about an event that happened in 2001. Fear sells. Fear is what gets people motivated. And while this isn't an insignificant problem, I mean, like we all said, one is too many. But at the same time, that's the narrative. I agree with you. That's the narrative that's being sold. It's a fear-based thing because fear motivates you to consume.
Deep bad pride. Deep bad pride.